definitely want to have, this is the PID gains, and we'll talk about that when we get into the table configuration, but this should be fine in terms of all of our default values. Again, we're gonna get into what that means. The derivative being a function of 0.005, that is fine as well to use. We can always go back in and tweak our PID gains, and we'll talk about that once we get the engine to start calibrating and tuning it. We'll start to talk about adjusting those values. Okay, we're not doing anything with launch anti-lag. We're not doing anything with launch timer. The main rev limiter we want to change. This engine can rev safely, probably above 9,000. We have a Type S oil pump. We have upgraded valve train. We have aftermarket pistons and rods. So the engine is strong enough to go rev higher. I'm not going to rev it much higher than about 85. So I'm going to go and set my spark cut to 8,500. And I'm going to go ahead and set my fuel cut here to 8,600, just slightly higher. I want to hit my spark cut first. Now the retard amount, I'm going to pull out 10 degrees of timing if I hit 8,450 RPM. That's just going to be softening up the rev limiter. If we go to our advanced setup, we want to go and take a look at how this is configured. There's a fuel and spark cut window. This is going to be, it's going to look at the desired RPM we want to have something, let's say a spark cut at 8,500. It's going to say 200 RPM before that, no limiter will be applied, so 8,300. But at 84, it'll start to progressively cut the spark timing as it's getting up to the full hard cut at 85. I want to shrink that window down, and I want to go and say something like 50 RPM. So I'm at 84.50, it'll start to bring that spark timing in to cut. And if I get up to 85, it'll be a full 100% cut or no combustion. So I just like to shrink down that window. If you want more of a soft cut limiter type function, keep your window open about 200-300 RPM. So whatever you program here, this will be your hard cut limit where it cuts combustion off completely. But below that, it'll be a progressive cut. It'll be a smoother cut. So I don't care about being smooth on this engine. I'm just going to make sure that I have a pretty reasonable range of RPM I can rev it out to. And if I get up to that point, I'm just going to shut the engine down. PID gains, this controls how the rev limiting is applied, how aggressive it's going to be applied. If you want the limiter to really be aggressive, you can increase your P or proportional gains. You can also increase your derivative. Usually integral is not used because the rev limiter happens so quickly. The integral factor, you're not spending time on the limiter, so integral is typically not used. We'll zero that out. No nitrous, nothing to worry about here. Under the nitrous settings, what I do like to do is just raise these up really, really high. So the maximum we'll set it to 10,000, the minimum 9,900, and then the reinstate here is something like 9,800, just so it can't be applied, even though it shouldn't have any issues. I've had a couple times with the Infinity where the nitrous control is kicking on, even though it wasn't set to activate or do anything. So it was pulling fuel or adding fuel or pulling spark. It was confusing. I've been through it before, so I've just like to raise that up, get that out of the way. 2-step, I'm not going to activate now. 3-step, we're not going to worry about. Shift cut, we're not going to worry about. High throttle timer, we're not going to worry about. Traction control, we're going to make sure is off. Let's go and just toggle all this off, just so it's not going to create issues. USB logging, we don't need to worry about. Variable cam control here. Let's give this a second. Under the variable cam control settings, we're going to have to look at our cam 1 sync and verify that this is actually accurate. When we fire up the engine, we'll talk about adjusting this value and why and how we do that. Everything in here should be good in terms of the default values. Diagnostics, we don't need to worry about. Now the output function assignment, let's go talk about this real quick. Fuel pump here, that's going to be default in terms of the settings. So we want to turn the key on, it's going to prime the fuel pump. When we crank the engine over, it's going to run the fuel pump. So we don't need to touch anything there. Boost control, I'm going to go and just turn this off because we do not have a boost control. So LS1 is actually open. The cooling fan here, we probably want to go and look at this. Now I like to have the cooling fan run when the engine is not running. So we're going to go and change this to 0 engine speed. And then we need to look at the conditions for the on and off and the delay. We also have our AC fan. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.